Welcome back to another episode of NBA by Jellyman, brought to you by Sports Assist by Jellyman. I am Lucas Jellyman, and in this episode we're going to go over the weekend ahead. So obviously being Friday, March the 31st, we've got a big weekend ahead of NBA games. So I guess we're going to go over player consistency, so players and stats to watch in the home stretch, and then also go into standings update and teams still in the race and their run home. And then also topic 3 is going to be the upcoming weekend preview, so Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then topic 4, best bets, depending on what's available on Sportsbet at the moment to sort of go through quickly. But topic 1, cracking straight into it. So Atlanta Hawks, players, stats to watch. Obviously Trae Young, points and assists. DeJounte Murray, points. For the Celtics, Brown and Tatum, depending on how many games they play in the stretch on the way home. Both looking at their points. They smashed the Bucks today. For the Brooklyn Nets, Mikal Bridges, points. Dinwiddie, points and assists. The Bulls, LaVine, DeRozan and Big Vucevic, all their points. Have a look at them each game to game. For the Cleveland Cavs, Mitchell, points. Garland, points and assists. Mobley, points and rebounds as well. For the Mavericks, Luka, points, rebounds, assists, but his points have been his most consistent. Kyrie, points and assists there as well. For the Nuggets, so the Joker, points, rebounds and assists, obviously with that MVP race going on at the moment. Jamal Murray also looking good with points and assists as well there. The Golden State Warriors, so Curry, Klay and Poole, always have a look at their points depending if they're home or away. The Clippers, Kawhi, points and rebounds, Westbrook, points and assists. Obviously, Paul George is out at the moment. For the Lakers, Davis, points and rebounds, James, points, rebounds and assists. Having a look at all those markets there. And D'Angelo Russell also points and assists for that one there. The Grizzlies, Morant, points, rebounds and assists. Have a look at those towards the back end. Similar situation to those teams, sort of those top 4 teams in each conference. So how many games will these guys play on the way home? Bane also points, and Jackson Jr has been scoring of late, so look at his points as well. Miami Heat, Butler, points. That's about it for the Heat. Rest of the players have been super inconsistent. The Bucks, Giannis, points, rebounds, and assists as usual. Holiday and Middelton points as well. For the Timberwolves, they've actually got quite a few players to look at. So Edwards points are consistent. Townsend's been back, points and rebounds. Gobert has been consistent on the boards of late. I think 12 plus rebounds in 6 of his last 7 games. Conley, his assists. And for the Pelicans, Ingram, points and rebounds. For the Knicks, Randall Brunson and RJ Barrett, their points. OKC, SGA went healthy, look into his points. For the Phoenix Suns, Booker, Durant, Ayton, all have a look at their points, Ayton's rebounds and Poole's assists. Obviously just factoring that Durant is back at the moment, his minutes will look to increase towards the playoffs. For the Sixers, Embiid, obviously with that MVP race as well, looking at his points, rebounds, and also his assists of late as well, making the right plays. And James Harden, points and assists. Tyrese Maxey, points. Last but not least, the Sacramento Kings, Fox's points, Sabonis's points, rebounds, and assists. So we'll include that there. Obviously, that's looking at their over and under. We do have more stats on their consistency of late and also the teams they're playing. But it really depends who's healthy for each side, the one-on-one matchups, etc. there. Topic 2, so standings update and teams within the race. So quickly opening this one up here. So in the East, obviously, locked in, Bucks, Celtics, Sixers, Cavs. I don't think much will change for those top 4 there on positioning. The Knicks are 4 games behind the Cavs, and there's only about 5 games or 6 games left for each squad. So we say that's pretty much locked in. The Knicks probably locked into 5th place there, so playing the Cavs. The Nets are 6th, 1.5 games ahead of the Heat. The Heat are 7th, as mentioned, 1.5 games ahead of the Hawks. The Hawks and Raptors are tied for 8th and 9th, and then 2 games behind them is the Chicago Bulls. And then the Wizards are out of the playoff race, 2 games behind the Bulls, but are still technically in it. But without the health of Kuzma and Beal, it's going to be pretty tough for them to sort of, I think, make that 10th spot. In the Western Conference, the Nuggets, Grizzlies, and Kings pretty much locked into the first, second, and third positions. They may shift depending on who plays what, depending on who wants to finish where as well. The Suns are 4th, half a game ahead of the Clippers. Clippers obviously then 5th, 1 game ahead of the Warriors. The Warriors are 6th, 1 game ahead of the Timberwolves. Timberwolves 7th, half game ahead of the Lakers. The Lakers are equal with the Pelicans. The Pelicans are playing right now. We'll see how that one pans out. The Thunder, 38 and 39. They're half a game behind the Pelicans, but 1 game ahead of the Mavericks. And the Mavericks at 11th, so 37 and 40. So 5 games left for them. But touching on each team's run home, like starting with Dallas in 11th spot, they got Miami, Atlanta, Sacramento, Chicago, Spurs. So that Miami game and Atlanta game, two very big games, as all those teams need wins. So all three teams needing those wins. The Sacramento one's an interesting one, so that's back at home at Dallas. Will Sacramento be happy with where they're at? They're 5 games ahead of the Suns at the moment, 2 games behind the Grizzlies. Do they want to finish third or do they want to finish second? Will they be playing all their players in that matchup, especially it being a traveling game to Dallas? The next one's Chicago. That should be a win for the Dallas Mavericks, but it depends once again where the standings lie. With 2 or 3 games left, are they completely out of the race? Are they still in it? They're the big questions there. And then last but not least, they've got the Spurs for their last game of the season, so they can chalk that up as a W. So, I mean, it really depends on how their next 2 games go in Miami and in Atlanta, depending on if they can challenge for that 10th spot, and also how OKC are going. OKC in 10th, they're at Indiana. That'll be an interesting matchup. The Indiana Pacers just allowed 140 plus points there. They then verse Phoenix at home. Phoenix aren't great away from home. Then they go to Golden State to play the Warriors. Then they're at the Jazz, and then they're versing the Memphis Grizzlies. So all pretty tough games apart from maybe that Indiana-Utah game. So I can't call it early here. It's just depending if SGA is healthy as well. The Pelicans sit 9th at the moment. Could jump to 8th with a win over the Nuggets. They verse the Clippers next, Sacramento next, Memphis, New York. But luckily for them, all 4 of those games are at home. So that will be a big thing. And once again, it'll depend, who the Clippers have healthy. We actually back them in probably against the Clippers being in New Orleans and the Clippers being potentially without Kawhi and PG, just depending who's healthy there. In 8th position is the Lakers, so they're at Minnesota, at Houston. So we chalk that Houston, and then Utah, Clippers, Phoenix, Utah again. So Houston and Utah times 2, that's probably 3 wins out of the next 6 games. That Minnesota one will be a 50-51, as well as the Clippers and Phoenix game, both 50-50 games there. But obviously with LeBron back, that gives them a bit of extra scoring, a bit of extra playmaking. In 7th is Minnesota Timberwolves. So obviously they've got the Lakers, and then Portland's a win. Brooklyn 50-50 as it's at Brooklyn. Spurs a win, and then Pelicans last game of the season, that's 50-50. In 6th position is Golden State. They play the Spurs, chalk that up as W. Denver 50-50, OKC 50-50, Sacramento, I don't know if they'll play their players being second last game of the season, so that could be a win. And then last but not least, the Portland Trailblazers, which should be a win there as well. So a few good games in the back end of their season there for the Warriors. The Clippers, they sit 5th. They're at Memphis, at New Orleans, versing the Lakers, and then Portland and Phoenix finish like the season. Only really that Portland game is a guaranteed game out of their next 5 games for them there, so we'll see how they finish off. And for Phoenix versus the Nuggets, Thunder, the Spurs obviously a win there. The Nuggets, Lakers, the Clippers, pretty tough run home. But obviously having KD back now and 4 of those 6 being at home is super beneficial for the Suns. Moving across to the Eastern Conference, in 10th place, you got the Chicago Bulls. They actually play the Hornets. They got Memphis, Atlanta, Milwaukee, Dallas, Detroit. So their next game and their last game being Detroit, probably the 2 wins there. All those 4 in the middle of 50-50 games, and maybe that does bring a chance for the Wizards to jump up. The Toronto Raptors actually have a tough schedule. They play the next 5 games away. So Philadelphia, Charlotte, Boston. Once again, that Boston, and Milwaukee game to finish off the season. That will depend how they finish. But it's also depending on who is playing for both those sides there. For Atlanta, in 8th spot, they verse Brooklyn, Dallas, Chicago. And then Washington, Philly, Boston. Another tough run home there. Miami Heat, 7th, they verse Dallas. Then got Detroit, Philadelphia, Washington, Orlando. 3 of those 5 should be wins there. And 6th is Brooklyn, Atlanta, Utah, Minnesota, Detroit, Orlando, Philly. 3 of those 6 should be wins there for the Nets. Topic 3, NBA upcoming weekend preview. So Saturday's games, 1, 2, 3, 4. Looking at 8 games here. Bulls at the Hornets. Obviously the Bulls need a win. Thunder at the Pacers. Thunder need a win, and the Pacers just gave a big score. Thunder at the Sixers. Toronto need a win, and Embiid needs to, bump his MVP race up. The Hawks at the Nets, both teams needing a win. Knicks at the Cavs, finals like contest there, the one-on-one, they could be playing each other. Clippers at the Grizzlies, Lakers at the Wolves, Nuggets at the Suns, all interesting matchups. The Sunday, there's only 2 games on the Sunday. Mavericks at the Heat, Clippers at the Pelicans, both good games though. And then Monday's Raptor games, Raptors at the Hornets, Raptors obviously needing to win. The Jazz at the Nets, Nets needing to win. Grizzlies at the Bulls, Bulls need to win. Blazers at the Wolves, Wolves need to win. The Mavericks at the Hawks, they both need wins. Lakers at the Rockets, Lakers need to win. And then just a few good matchups to finish it off. Suns at Thunder, Sixers at Bucks, Warriors at Nuggets. Should be a good Saturday, Sunday and Monday worth of basketball. Looking at tomorrow's games, just briefly. So you got the Thunder and Pacers. Thunder are minus 3.5. Their head-to-head's 163. You combine that with the likes of the Bulls needing a win, and then also you jump down to the end of the page. So you look at a Bulls and Thunder combo there. The Sixers are paying well against the Raptors. There's not many player markets open as of yet, and it looks like SGA isn't healthy to play. But even having a look at someone like Jalen Williams, 20 plus points, there should be a few points scored in that Indiana game with minimal rim protection. The Raptors at Sixers, so Joel Embiid's under over if he is healthy and playing. Yep, he is. That's currently at 32.5, so I'll be looking at his over points there for sure. Also looking at his assists over as well. Maybe his PRA even might be a good bet there. The Bulls at the Hornets, I think the Bulls head-to-head there. The Knicks at the Cavs, 50-50 game, probably going to stay away from that one. Might even just look at a player points prop for Donovan Mitchell with 30-plus points in 3 of his last 4 games. The Hawks at the Nets, 50-50 game there. Most likely looking at some point scorers in that one. The Lakers at the Wolves, 50-50 game, probably stay away from it, but look at some point scorers on both sides. The Kings and Blazers, probably stay away from that one, and same as the Spurs and the Warriors. But we'll have more out tomorrow, and also we'll get a TikTok out later this evening for some stats for those guys. But as always, feel free to like, follow, and subscribe for any more information, recommendations, insights for the NBA and the AFL and NRL seasons ahead. Thank you for listening in. Have a good weekend.